The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, August 12th, and today is a National Julienne Fries Day.
This is a Julienne fry. A crinkled one?
Very thin cut.
Yeah, the thin little. They're like.
Thin.
Do you remember picnics?
No.
Well, I would.
It's
I would
like
a
French cut.
Oh, it's a true French fry.
No. But like, yeah. It's like a very, very thin slice.
My opinion, the worst fries there are. They don't even deserve a day.
Oh, no. Cannabis actually, during COVID, it inspired me to go to culinary school for a little bit. And I gotta say, there's an art to all of it. I can appreciate a skinny fry. The right skinny truffle fry, let's take it.
Oh man, truffle fries are great, but it's not National Truffle Day, but nonetheless. It's also National Vinyl Record Day.
That's cool. I like that one.
Oh, there she is. There she is.
I'm here.
She's a Casper little ghost today. It's also National Middle Child Day.
That's to my sister.
Yeah.
Shout out to the little kid.
Middle children, they got a lot of issues. You know what I mean? I had a cousin that was a middle child. I can remember all the drama of being a middle child that she would display.
No.
Maybe you should, instead of having 3 kids, you should just focus on having 4 kids. So then you have 2 middle kids. So then that way they can have someone to share their issues with and have, you know what I'm saying, pity parties with.
I'm done, Jason. That's weird.
2 is a
3
good
kids
number.
is good. 3 kids, you could have one of each.
Oh man, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. There's also high noon on the East Coast, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet, and we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms, you guys, and we are going to kick it off with Miss Jenny Beth Dills. She is the Southern belle that loves to tell you a thing or two about life, people, and generally about yourself, and how she's just, you know what I'm saying, just so much. That's right, it is none other than Miss Jenny Beth Dills.
Oh, my original intro, Jason.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I forgot that one. I like that one. Anyway, so a new push in Massachusetts aims to roll back marijuana legalization, but will it pass? The state's attorney general office says 2 nearly identical ballot proposals, both filed by Caroline Cunningham and a small group of supporters, would repeal the 2016 law that allows for commercial sale of cannabis, along with home cultivation rights. These measures, called an Act to Restore a Sensible Marijuana Policy, oh wow, Kevin Sabat, you had nothing to do with that, did you? Would also remove marijuana's current taxation framework, ban retail sales, and limit personal possession to gifting. Though medical marijuana would remain legal, One version would even tighten THC limits. To get on the November 2026 ballot, these proposals face a steep climb. First, the Attorney General must decide by September 3rd whether they meet constitutional requirements. If cleared, supporters would need more than 75,000 signatures by December 3rd. Then the legislature would have a chance to approve it. And if they don't, organizers must collect another 12,000 signatures by July 2026. History and polling may be working against this effort. Since 2016, Massachusetts has expanded marijuana laws, pardoned possession convictions, and seen sales surpass $8 billion. In 2024, the Mass Inc. polling group found 65% of residents still believe legalizing marijuana was the right decision. So while opponents of legalization are making noise, turning back the clock on cannabis in Massachusetts could be an uphill battle. Yeah. So what was your name again, ma'am? Caroline Cunningham, you suck. I don't think I understand at all how this is supposed to work. Sensible marijuana policy. That sounds like Kevin Sabet, huh, Jason?
That does sound like Kevin Sabet.
Super sounds like Kevin Sabet. You can try to put the toothpaste back in the tube, but that's not going to work out for you very well, Miss Ma'am. So I'll throw it back to you guys, but this is absolutely ridiculous. Just thought I'd start your day off with some pure bullshit.
So,
Ridiculousness.
So they're trying to make this a voter initiative. Am I correct on that, Jenny Beth?
Mm-hmm.
And it would basically repeal and make basically force everybody to have to close down. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
That would be interesting to see.
Oh, you're such a dick, Jason.
I'm just saying that would be interesting to see. How that would all happen.
I feel like we got to pay attention to some of these arguments, though, because they're going to start to structure them all together. Like, we're going to see this big blob of this shit going down where, especially with the reschedule conversation, if they do reschedule and then roll back programs, it's just like we're just going all the way back to the trap market. That's it. It feels like if they keep doing this kind of shit and they come together on it, they're going to blow themselves up. Like, it's not going to work out the way.
Shaun, did you say that we're going to have a trap revival?
Trap revival with reschedule and this kind of policy. Absolutely.
Man, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. I'll tell you this much. I actually could see Massachusetts, just because of their whole NIMBYism and the super elite liberal class wanting to repeal this back. I could totally see this, because, you know, the whole Martha's Vineyards crew just being like, oh, you know what? They have to repeal the whole thing. Send it all back. We got to start all over. I could totally see this happening in Massachusetts.
And then they'll say, but we gave you a robust medical program. So anyone who actually needs access, but what they don't see is that they're going to end up undercutting their medical program, because people aren't going to go.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to go back to the trap.
Mm-hmm.
It's back to the trap, Samurai Jack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why politicians always try to repeal the will of the people. Right? This has been voted on. Businesses have been created. Commerce is happening. Revenue is exchanging hands. Mm-hmm. And they want to take it all away. It's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And right, Jenny Beth, woman's an idiot. Mm-hmm. So stupid. Politics. They get her name in the press.
I think that's all she wanted, was to get her name in the papers. You know what I mean? That very well could be possible, and it does sound like some Kevin Sabet type of stuff, Jenny Beth, with the mentions that you had mentioned. It definitely sounds like they're getting their talking points from Kevin.
Sensible cannabis legislation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because it seems like in Mass, there's been a huge problem there with it. They've had so many different issues. Honestly, I have a buddy from high school that owns a dispensary and a cultivation facility there. It's definitely one of the most beautiful I've seen in the country. You know, they have pretty high regulations on dispensaries and their cultivation facilities for access and cleanliness. It doesn't exist in the older school states. Mm-hmm. Products were great, definitely high on the price side. So I can't imagine Massachusetts is complaining about getting the tax revenue for. That's what us from New Hampshire call it, Massachusetts.
I like that, Michael. I like the Taxachusetts. That's a pretty good name for them.
That is a good name.
I asked people recently, I'm like, we got Taxachusetts, then we got the Maniacs, right? Two great cannabis markets. They have no nickname for us New Hampshireans. So we got them.
There's only like 7 of you, right? Only like 7 people from there.
Well, that's because that's because New Hampshire, it's the land to live free or die. You know what I mean? And so they're just, you know what I mean? They're just probably worried that you guys are going to kill them all.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They're behind in the weed market.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a good program. This would be a sad, situation for them. They had decriminalization for a long time before they went to medical. Mass Can, they used to have great events like on the East Coast.
Yes.
Events out west.
They did
for years. So I can't imagine that even if this passed, I don't know what they passed rec medical by, but I can't imagine even if they got it on the ballot, this would pass in Massachusetts.
Yeah, there's minimal public support. The study's a political consultant who just won her seat from the Middlesex and Worcester district in 2024. But it looks like most of what she does is leads the rollback initiative against cannabis and the campaign against psychedelics.
Clearly, she's a masshole.
She sounds like she's from Worcester, so but it sounds like she's a real good time at parties.
Sure, she's
she's going after Alex too. Come on, lady.
What's that, Michael?
Bible thumper against nature.
Say it again, Michael.
Probably a Bible thumper against nature.
Oh man, it's crazy world. I mean, this is going to be very interesting to watch and see what it does. I wonder how much voter turnout. How much does this have to pass by if this was going to get enacted? Does it have to pass by 51%? Just 50.1% or 60%? Does it mention?
I don't know. I think her biggest she's going to struggle to get the 75,000 signatures. So
I don't think so.
Try and put it on the ballot.
I think all she has to do is just drive over to Martha's Vineyard and she can knock on everyone's door and everyone will sign that there.
That's possible. I mean, listen, she won by, what was the vote? She won by 87.8% of the vote. So that's like kind of crazy. So I guess 87.8% of her district agrees with her weird stuff and thought that she should be in her position. So I don't know, Jason.
I'm telling you, I feel like that demographic is going to be all in on making it prescription medicalized exclusively, and then they otherwise see your independent rights and freedoms as a nuisance. Like, I'm a little bit worried.
Interesting. Well, on that, we're going to roll into our first commercial and we are going to be right back. Yes, and we are back, you guys.
Coming up next, the High at Night head honcho, the negative Nancy lately. The guy who wants to see what happens if Massachusetts has to shut down. Jason Beck. I'm
just saying that it would be interesting to watch to see what happens because I don't see how they would be able to do it. You know what I mean? And I'm also confused, Michael. As to what kind of get backs that anyone that invested or has infrastructure in there and put a large financial investment together to open up a business, what kind of recourse they would have in something like that. So I think that's super interesting to me.
I don't know if it would be like a taking by the government, almost like an eminent domain situation. They could try to argue or something of that nature, but I think it would be a crazy experiment that hopefully never happens.
It would be a crazy experiment. We'll have to see and we'll keep you posted as to any progress on that. But as we were talking about yesterday, Trump signaling that he's open to the possibility of rescheduling. Well, Charlie Kirk says that he smokes Trump over a push to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. And he says, everything already smells like weed, you guys. And I referenced this story yesterday when we were having our discussion, but I wanted to continue this discussion with some of the other panelists as well to get their thoughts and whatnot. But Charlie Kirk slammed the change in classification that Trump is reportedly considering, saying the drug shouldn't be downgraded because it ruins public spaces. MAGA podcaster Charlie Kirk had a social media outburst over reports that President Donald J. Trump is considering reclassifying marijuana as a less dangerous drug, complaining that everything already smells like weed, you guys. The conservative pundit and founder of Turning Point USA took to X to speak out against the change, reportedly being considered by the Trump administration. In a quote, he says, "I hope this doesn't happen. We need to protect public spaces for kids. Everything already smells like weed, which is ridiculous. Let's make it harder to ruin public spaces, not easier," Kirk wrote in response to the Wall Street Journal's reporting claiming that Trump was considering a reclassification. Marijuana is currently considered a Schedule I drug, a category it shares with heroin, ecstasy, and LSD, and the Drug Enforcement Administration defines Schedule I drugs as drugs with no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. The push to reclassify marijuana, which has been legalized for adult use in 24 states, goes back to former President Sleepy Joe Biden's administration. During a $1 million plate fundraiser at Trump's New Jersey golf course earlier this month, he told attendees he was interested in reclassifying the drug. Guests of the fundraiser included Kim Rivers, the chief executive of Trulieve, one of the largest marijuana companies, and people familiar with the matter told the Journal. During that event, Rivers reportedly encouraged Trump to pursue the change and expand medical marijuana research. The report claimed, and the effort would reclassify marijuana as a Schedule III drug, which wouldn't make the drug entirely legal, but it would ease restrictions on it, according to the report. They say it would also allow for tax breaks for some marijuana companies, you guys, not all, some marijuana companies, and open the door for additional medical research. In response to Kirk's tweet, social media users uncovered a post the conservative commentator penned back in 2018 that read, "People should not go to prison for using, producing, or selling marijuana," you guys. Well, it seems like I was trying to say yesterday, it seems to me like Charlie Kirk took some money from maybe Project Sam or maybe someone else, but whatnot. But it seems like he's had a change of heart from when I have had discussions with him on this issue. But nonetheless, it could just be a little payoff, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. And the fact that they say in this that some businesses may be only be able to get these tax exemptions, I think is 100% a reality, because the reality of it is everyone's like, oh yeah, if we get Schedule 3, we can get 280E relief. But no, that's not the case. You're going to have a DEA license in order to be qualified for that 280E relief. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
About taking the money, $1 million a plate, so who shows up?
I'm not mad at that. I'm down with that. I'd go to $1 million plate dinner all day, every day. I'm down with that.
If you had $1 million.
I wish that other industry folks that have that level of capital would have bought a plate to at least be in the room and have a conversation, because now we have the wrong people leading the conversation, guys.
Well, the point of that too is, because as far as I'm concerned, the Schedule 3 thing is just a play for Big Pharma. And one of the conversations that Jesse brought up yesterday is the fact that Trulieve already has products in the pharmaceutical space that is currently being sold throughout pharmacies in Georgia. So they are in the perfect queue in position to be bought out by a big pharma company. I'm sure they probably even have some deal already in place pending this type of an outcome. And so they'll be the first ones to benefit from it, may possibly be some of the only ones to benefit from something like this.
Absolutely, Jason. This is like when they were trying to outlaw the original 4 in WeHo, and MedMen went ahead and hedged their bet and had those little fucking boxes placed at like 4 corners on the edge of WeHo. Remember that? For those of you at home that don't know what that is, the city of West Hollywood tried to outlaw the original 4, which were the original 4 cannabis licenses, and make them be only medical and not allow them to sell adult use cannabis. So MedMen decided that they were going to get these vending machines, and they placed them in like the weirdest places. My dog groomer had one on Sunset Boulevard that they were going to turn on the second that the city shut down all of the dispensaries. So I mean that's exactly what Kim Rivers is doing. That's the point of this. And if you think that Schedule 3 is a good fucking idea, why don't you call somebody in Georgia, see how that medical program is going for them, because that's exactly what this entire fucking country will look like if we reschedule to 3.
Mm-hmm. You know, I was having a conversation with some cannabis activists yesterday. Let me pull it up. This is super interesting, you guys. I found it very interesting. Let's see, where are you? This chat. We were talking about, and I was like, I don't understand why any of you guys in here are happy about Schedule 3. You know, and someone said that, because I was like, hey, can anybody name one Schedule 3 drug? And someone said, and it may not be, you know, that by virtue of being Schedule 3, no drug would be available over the counter, but Viagra, hormone replacement therapy, midazolam, estranil, these are all Schedule 3 drugs that you can get by filling out a questionnaire and having it reviewed by a doctor. The meds get delivered right to your door. To which I responded, I said, so delivery services will be marked safe, but dispensaries will be out of business in that scenario. And there wasn't any rebuttal on that from the individuals in that conversation, but I did find it super interesting. You know what I mean? Like this is going to be such a clusterfuck if it goes to Schedule 3. You guys just watch out.
Still won't be safe. Delivery licenses still do not have a DEA license. That would drop ship straight from the manufacturer, from the pharmaceutical manufacturer to the customer. It would cut out delivery licenses as well. Nobody's safe. This shit is terrible. Like, I don't think anybody understands how bad it is. But if you work in cannabis, you won't.
Yeah, and Jenny, not only Jenny's right on the DEA, but also on the FDA approval, because now you'll have to go through FDA approval processes, which include clinical trials.
Yep.
Like, it's not. This is the way to monitor every little element of consumption. And I think that they think that this will lead to pharmaceutical regulatory capture. And I think that's the ideal, because it feeds old friends, which explains why Charlie Kirk might be turning position, because his friends have friends with old lobbyists, like they're friends with the old pharma. Come on, guys.
Yeah, but but if that's the case, then he would be saying, hey, Schedule 3 is a great place for it to be. You know what I mean? And I think I wish Charlie wouldn't have made the mention. I wish Charlie wouldn't have made the mention of saying, oh, you know what, it's just going to smell like weed everywhere, because it's going to smell like weed everywhere regardless, because people are consuming it, whether they're purchasing it from a store or purchasing it, you know, from their dealer or whatever. But he should have came out and said, you know what, this should not go to Schedule 3. This is nothing more than a big pharma takeover, and that would have been a much better response, I feel, from him, that people would have took a lot more seriously than just doing the classic message, the save the kids scenario.
Dance between two audiences, though. Like, he's got to dance between two. He's captured by by the public that he's serving, and then by the money that he's answering to as well, and their whole strategy. And when you look at that, it goes back to the last story that we talked about. There's a certain class that sees your cannabis use as a nuisance to be managed and to be closely regulated, and they want to influence your gun rights with that, and it's very invasive, and they feel they have the right to do that. And at the same time, they want to make sure that if they see the money, guys, we see the billions of dollars, and they're going to want to capture and corner that market. So the best way to do it is to push it over to medical and do it in that way. But I think they're grossly underestimating how the trap will, like a sinkhole, and that quickly. Like, there's a smart, balanced way to do this, and it looks like we're not doing that yet again on another American issue. I can't. Great. There's not enough to get me high right now.
Go for it, Todd.
All we have to do is look at Project 2025 and see what those policies are regarding marijuana, and we'll figure out.
There is no weed policy in 2025, and 2025 is not a Trump policy. That's put out by the Heritage Foundation. So let's not get it twisted.
He's also given him millions of dollars.
There's lots of people. I mean, Kim Rivers is giving him millions of dollars. Todd.
That's what I'm saying. She's smart. Smart because she knows she can influence the Orange Clown.
Maybe you should have given him millions of dollars, Todd.
What's that?
I said maybe you should have given him millions of dollars then.
If I had millions of dollars, I wouldn't give it to him. That's for sure. No, but rescheduling to three puts it in the group with Tylenol with codeine, ketamine, steroids, testosterone. No better than cocaine and ecstasy in Schedule 1. I think it's just a dumb.
Yeah, it is.
You
It's dumb.
guys all agree it needs to be descheduled, not rescheduled. So if you can call your colleagues on that, Jason, and explain that to them, that'd be great.
I could. Someone should be paying me to do that, though. But go ahead, Michael.
I was going to say that should be the fundamental push of all advocates at this point in time, to start educating people on it. And I don't think, and I had the issue with a couple of the organizations when they came out, when the descheduling came, and I'm like, I don't know if I can support this. Spoke to them, and they're like, oh, get on a call and we'll explain the reasons, kind of why it's good. And I'm like, I can't get behind it, and I even more so, even the thought of that. And I kind of disagree with potentially how some of those things will end up playing out, but it makes sense that would what happens. We know pharmaceuticals are losing, ground. They're getting attacked on the federal level, and just like tobacco went to food, all these multi-billion-dollar companies know that they can just go in and take over another industry and control it. And I will say, people in this industry, when I first had calls with them, told me basically that. They came in, they saw that cannabis was a viable market. They had investors and people who had money, so they go in, they change the laws, they, donate to their politicians, get the laws changed so that they can benefit from them, and, look at the market we have in the state of Florida.
It's a mess.
Fair enough.
We need to push decriminalization on all fronts.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
and I think we need to have the industry, they got to read beyond the headline. I feel like this is a little bit because we did that media circus a few months ago, including, Tyson 2.0, saying that rescheduling was a good thing without fully educating. Sometimes the industry regurgitates dribble, and we need to do better. Or we can expect the government to try to do it for us.
Fair enough. Well, on that, we are going to roll right into Mr. Michael Minardi. He is a great attorney out of the great red state of Florida who helps cannabis advocates, patients, and businesses navigate the complex landscape. He's been doing this for over 20 years, and you can find him at his own law office at Minardi Law in none other than Florida. It is none other than Mr. Michael Minardi.
Happy high noon to all those on the East Coast. And we're going to follow this chaos of cannabis up with a Trump DOJ asks Supreme Court to uphold the ban on marijuana users owning guns. Amid a series of legal challenges, the Trump administration is asking the Supreme Court to take up a case on federal government's ban on users of marijuana and other illegal drugs owning firearms and defending themselves, upholding prohibition, saying it's consistent with the Second Amendment. To that end, DOJ Solicitor General is urging SCOTUS to hear one of 5 relevant cases to resolve the lower court's confusion and decisions on these issues. Multiple competing legal cases resulting in different rulings in federal appeals courts across the country, DOJ last week requested SCOTUS review one in particular that is described as archetypal of the issue related to Federal Code 922G3, which precludes users of unlawful drugs from having guns or ammo. The case present is an important Second Amendment issue that affects hundreds of prosecutions every year, whether the government may disarm individuals who habitually use unlawful drugs but are not necessarily under the influence while possessing a firearm. U.S. Solicitor John Seor said, appointee of President Trump. The Solicitor General reiterated his position that despite recent appeals court decisions calling into question the constitutionality of the firearm bans for those who use cannabis even in compliance with state law, the restriction is nevertheless lawful. Some lower courts have said the government's blanket ban on gun and ammunition possession infringes on Second Amendment rights, at least as applied to certain individual cases, because there's no historical justification for such a broad restriction on an entire category of people. Over recent years, various federal courts and appeal courts have taken differing approaches at the issue. As DOJ argued in their latest question, asking the Supreme Court to uphold it because of conflict between the jurisdictions. The petition for writ of certiorari identified three sides of that conflict. The Seventh Circuit upheld Section 922G3. The Eighth Circuit has held it violates the Second Amendment unless the government can make a case-by-case basis showing justifying the drug user's disarmament. And the Fifth Circuit has held that it generally violates the Second Amendment unless the drug user was intoxicated while possessing the firearm. Since then, the conflict has deepened. Referring to several other cases on the issue that are pending before the High Court, DOJ wants SCOTUS to focus on the case in particular to resolve what is called a four-way circuit highway. We are waiting in Florida on a case out of the 11th Circuit as well to deal with these issues for medical patients specifically. One reason DOJ can be focused on the justices taking up Hamani in particular is that the defendant in that case is not only a cannabis user, but also a user of cocaine who sold drugs in the past, according to the court findings, which can make him less sympathetic in the eyes of the court. That's not bias at all. Defendants in other cases were merely found both in possession of a firearm and marijuana. Lawyers for the defendant, Hermione, argued in the brief last month that a high court should decline the case. But in its reply brief submitted to SCOTUS this week, the JOD said this case is the best vehicle available. The government has filed petitions for writs of certiorari in 4 other cases presenting the same question. As those petitions explain, this case presents the Second Amendment issue more cleanly than the other 3 cases and involves a more developed record compared to DOJ. Continue to respond saying federal law still prohibits possessing marijuana and federal law takes precedent over contrary state law, unless you're talking about hemp. Section 922G3 fits comfortably within the nation's tradition of firearm regulation, said under a section of titled 922 complies with the Second Amendment. Other cannabis gun rights include U.S. v. Cooper, U.S. v. Daniels, and U.S. v. Sam. In a case, U.S. v. Baxter is also before the court, has received briefs under 2 separate dockets, but has been not scheduled for a discussion to determine whether or not they're accepted. In Cooper, an appeals court previously dismissed a 3-year prison sentence against the defendant who was convicted for possession of a firearm while being an active user of marijuana. The Solicitor General last month asked that the court hold off on deciding whether to review the case until the Hermione case is involved. These cases have been going on for a while. This article continues to go on for a number of bit. It goes on saying a number of federal courts in the past few months have cast doubt on the legality of 922G3, finding generally that while the ban on gun ownership among drug users may not be entirely unconstitutional, there's scant historical precedent for such a broad approach. Most of this comes out of a case out of New York that came out a few years ago that kind of went back, said that there has to be a historical approach almost as to the founders of the Constitution in determining whether or not these drugs are disarmed. So the first cases that we had on that and looked at those in comparison, similar. This is my kind of going off the cuff, talking about the rest of the article, what this issue really means, centered around alcohol. And these cases that have found that cannabis is not, center around and go with that alcohol. Alcohol users are allowed to use and possess weapons. Probably the majority of people who possess weapons in this country are alcohol users. And they are not disarmed, and their guns are not taken by cases of beer every day, every week. So that's where that justification comes in. So it again becomes a potential of another discrimination issue where they're treating cannabis, granted while it's a Schedule I substance, it's illegal, blah, 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 federally, differently than alcohol or other substances which cause impairment right now. So hopefully the court, and we do have a Supreme Court that did make that ruling on bomb, did have another ruling recently on gun rights that didn't go in favor of gun rights, but that has taken a historical and a traditional approach to this guns rights issue. So it's a very, I think, interesting issue as to whether or not we want this Supreme Court to hear it, even though Trump is pushing for it, because it is potential that they continue to fight for gun rights like they have in the past and uphold this. Hugely important issue for people across the country, I think. And what do you guys think?
The veterans will lose their shit if you won't let them grow their own weed and maintain their own self-defense at home. These cases infuriate me because we can go to war for y'all, but we can't come home, smoke weed on our porch, and have our own weapon for self-defense. I think about like the women who are treating domestic, because I've talked to women in these instances. I'm in Texas, y'all, we got guns. And I think about like the domestic violence cases where they're using cannabis to help manage PTSD symptoms. But they also need access to a firearm. God forbid if an ex-partner who is abusive or aggressive breaks onto their property. These things happen more often than you realize. The Second Amendment is about self-defense, and it is also about the right to bear arms if your government acts out of pocket. So, I mean, why are we having this conversation? It blows my mind, and I have no idea what has happened to this country in the last 12 years. Like, what the fuck is going on?
And I echo that as well, because we work with a lot of veterans through our nonprofit. We do veterans retreats and things of that nature. And, they don't get medical cards because of that issue, because they're petrified that they're going to be put on this registry and have their weapons taken away. So, it puts them in even a worse situation, because now, even though they definitely qualify as a patient, they're doing it illegally because they're afraid of losing, their most sacred right that they used to defend themselves in war and battle. Forever. It's absolutely disgusting, honestly.
I totally agree.
It's disgusting, but America doesn't care about their veterans. It is a proven by the actions that are taken, by the care that they receive or the lack of care that they receive, is a pathetic state of governance where how we just let these poor veterans fade away into nothingness after they do sacrifice their lives for us, and it's pretty pathetic.
Yeah,
I'd hate to say it, but most cases I've had on medical cannabis necessity defenses were veterans. So I've probably had about 8 to 10 veterans who were cultivating cannabis or possessing cannabis for medical reasons that were arrested. So that's the highest population, including both Oklahoma, when it was 2 to life. The guy had 6 plants.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but then it seems like this DOJ is really focused on just criminalizing people. Like, what is the policy right now? Because we're arresting everyone. We're putting like police in the streets when it's unnecessary. What are we doing right now?
I don't know about all that. I think that the police are definitely needed in the streets. The streets are crazier than all ever. And in all fairness,
is not needed in local cities.
I totally support that.
DC.
I totally support that.
Of course, you support everything.
I support that.
He does, so.
I support that.
It's just embarrassing, Jason.
No, it's not.
Crime is down in Washington, D.C.
Crime is not down in Washington, D.C. Have you been to Washington, D.C. lately, Todd? You would not say that if you had been to Washington, D.C. lately.
If you look at real numbers, not made up with a Sharpie numbers, all crime is down in Washington, D.C.
I'm not buying that. And even if the numbers point to show that crime is down, there's still an exorbitant amount of crime. And Washington, D.C. is not a safe place for families to take their kids or whatnot and be able to visit all these different historical museums in American history and whatnot. And so it is not a safe place at all.
In the office.
Why
it's
is
true.
this
$1 million.
If that's the argument.
I'm about to tell you why, Shaun. I'm going to tell you why. No, it's not. No. Stop, Todd. Stop.
Alcoholic rapist in charge.
Stop, Todd. Stop. Pete Hegseth is not in charge of the DOJ. Okay, you're totally got your. He's in charge of the Department of Defense. First of all, so you got your oranges crossed, Todd. You know what I'm saying? You've been obviously been sunbathing a little too much. Pam Bondi
files on my desk. We're looking at 10,000 videos. Oh, there is no Epstein list. So
what is the job of the DOJ? The job of the DOJ, okay, is to prosecute crime and prosecute criminals. And we have way too many criminals in the United States right now. So yes, of course, that's going to be their focus.
One in the White House.
Stop it, Todd. You're just totally ridiculous.
There's actually several in the White House. There's several.
If that is this DOJ's case, then why are
it's all every DOJ's case? It's not just this one. It's everyone. Why are
they disarming everyday citizens then? Like, help me.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Define everyday citizens.
The people in this article
Americans with brown skin and veterans.
I'm talking, Jason, we're talking about this specific story.
I understand
DOJ
that.
focused on cannabis and Second Amendment rights.
Mm-hmm. And I think I agree. I agree that I think that is a gross overreach. I agree with that part. I agree that I think that this part, as far as with the gun argument, going after veterans and whatnot that want to consume cannabis and going after their gun rights, is a total overreach. And the NRA should be coming out totally against this. The veterans organizations should be coming out totally against this. And we need more support from the cannabis side, from these larger organizations, to say, hey, you know what, this isn't right. We need more people standing up, and I totally agree with that.
Well, and I think
I want to see more people who are invested in solving the problem, because I feel like we are at this point in the U.S. politics where it's a whole lot of bullshit, and now it's actually going to start to cost the people.
Go ahead, Michael. What were you going to say?
Yeah, I think it definitely does cost the people, but I think it becomes, again, an issue of, just like this rescheduling, descheduling thing, it's not a matter of science anymore. It's not a matter about people looking at things with an open mind and trying to actually do their job. It's a matter of politics and money. Mm-hmm. And it puts people's lives at risk every single. I have a dozen people over the past week that have gotten arrested for THCA flower, believing it's federally legal hemp. Mm-hmm. And whether or not that's a question. But these people are facing serious federal charges who've never had charges before, based on what? Them attacking people? It's really disgusting. And as I continue to say, humane, what we're doing to cannabis users, stripping of them their rights, the right to jobs, discrimination, guns, everything, because people are just so fucking pig-headed and biased that this is an evil plant that's going to destroy people's lives when it only makes people better.
Mm-hmm. I think those are all fair points as well. Any other final points before we move on, you guys? Before we shoot them up, bang bang, do some drive-bys.
So pissed off this week. Too many people arrested for weed, man. Good people going to prison, looking at serious time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is unfortunate. Jenny, what do you got to say? I see you scooting up for something.
Oh, I need a snack. I was waiting to go to commercial. So
she needs a snack. Oh, and on that, we're going to roll to our next commercial, and we're going to be right back so Jenny can get a snack.
I'm Cole Preston, and today I'm at Blue Island Beer Company for the premiere of my mini documentary on legalization policy in Illinois. I've been following cannabis policy since colorful Colorado legalized it all the way back in the day. And when my home state of Illinois decided to legalize it, I just became enamored. I wondered, what would it actually look like? If you'd like to see how Illinois fell short in achieving meaningful reform in their cannabis policy, you can watch my mini doc now at colememo.com/minidoc.
And we are back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Did you get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that, they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
The statute actually has
Oh,
both
and
the
we are
definition
back, you guys.
of-
Oh man, this is a great behind the scenes conversation right now. Jenny Beth, are you ready? You got your snack? Are you ready to introduce Todd?
I have my snack. Yeah.
That is some snack. That looks like a meal, not a snack.
It's a half of my patty melt from yesterday with caramelized onions, jalapenos, mayonnaise, and bacon.
Amazing.
All
right, so are you ready to introduce Todd?
Snack.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Coming up next, straight out of Vegas, which is still hot as absolute hell. The bald voice, golden voice, that pisses Jason Beck off more than anyone.
Stop
I
it.
loved him. The founder of DigiPath Labs and the Smuggleverse, and the new host of King of Pot.
Thank you. The new host of Becoming the King of Pot. So,
well, shit, I tried to remember it, Todd.
That's all right. Slide on down the YouTube channel when you're done with High at 9 News. About Becoming the King of Pot. Thank you for that shameless plug. So, speaking of THCA, there's a bill to let only marijuana dispensaries sell intoxicating hemp products. But it stalls in St. Louis County, Missouri. That's right. A final vote on a St. Louis County bill to regulate intoxicating hemp products stalled out Tuesday night after about a dozen business owners and lobbyists opposed it at the county council meeting. Bill sponsor, St. Louis County Councilwoman Lisa Clancy, told The Independent on Wednesday morning that she plans on revisiting the bill's language and will hold a public hearing no later than the end of September. As he said, I don't know what the final version looks like yet, but I think there's a sincere appetite from enough members on the council that recognize some problems that need to be addressed with this industry and some of the products on the market. In January, Clancy proposed a bill to prohibit products like beverages and edibles that are often labeled as hemp-derived Delta-9 or Delta-8 from being sold outside of marijuana dispensaries. If enacted, the bill would effectively ban those products in Missouri's largest county. The county's health department would be tasked with enforcement, including seizing and destroying the products. Ryan Regal, owner of two Missouri intoxicating hemp companies, Tuesday that he encourages the council to regulate the products but not ban them. Can maybe use this platform to encourage the state to regulate this in a proper manner rather than outlaw it, Regal said. This is going to drive a black market bigger than we've ever seen before because it's already here. The past 3 years, Missouri lawmakers have attempted to pass legislation that would put hemp-derived THC products under the same regulatory framework as marijuana. Proposals were met by the fierce opposition, particularly from associations representing convenience stores, hemp companies, and veterans. This past spring, Republican State Senator Nick Schroeder of Defiance offered a proposal that carved out an exemption for low-dose THC beverages, which have been sold in Missouri's bars and liquor stores for 7 years. Still required things like high-dose gummies, THC flower, and vapes to be sold in marijuana dispensaries. Schroeder's bill was filibustered by State Senator Carla May and other St. Louis Democratic senators who argued that it would create a monopoly for the marijuana industry and harm small businesses. Hemp naturally has little THC, the intoxicating component mostly associated with marijuana. That potency can be increased with some science. While marijuana products must be sold in dispensaries and be grown and manufactured in state-regulated facilities, intoxicating hemp products have been completely unregulated by any governmental agency since 2018, when Congress passed a farm bill that legalized hemp. St. Louis City NAACP submitted a letter to the council stating that its members, quote, stand in solidarity, unquote, with May as she opposed legislation that had the same language as Clancy's. We recognize efforts to promote public safety. We are gravely concerned that this bill disproportionately impacts small, often minority-owned businesses, vape shops, convenience stores, and independent retailers that have legally entered the hemp market under the protections of the federal 2018 Farm Bill, a NAACP letter states. Clancy held the bill from going to vote Tuesday night. She said the goal is to protect public health. She understands there is still some discussions that need to happen. Told The Independent last month that she's most concerned about edibles that look like candy and are sold in places children can access. The bill doesn't ban intoxicating products like CBD seltzers or lotions, she added. Several people testified Tuesday that Clancy's bill would put companies out of business. Clancy told The Independent Wednesday those allegations are absolutely unfounded. said we have no data to support that. A lot of these companies, what they're not saying is they visited long before the 2008 Farm Bill. I'm Todd Denkin with High 9 News, and what do you guys think? I think that all of these intoxicating products do need to be sold in dispensaries and dispensaries only. I think hemp should be regulated exactly the way cannabis is, even though cannabis is overregulated and overtaxed. But I think it should be the same, literally the same plant, and it needs to be treated exactly the same. I think that hemp sold in dispensaries is the only way to go. Sure, what you guys think?
Why would you? That makes absolutely no sense, Todd.
Why? You're getting, it's intoxicating substance, right? So because it's intoxicating, it has to be tested, it has to be regulated, and it should be sold where other intoxicating, substances are sold.
No, because it's not always intoxicating.
I disagree with that.
It can also be mechanical, and we need to free the weed. We need to get it out of dispensaries and onto your grocery store shelves. It's a plant. It's a food. It's like we don't want to go backwards. We need to go forwards. We need, yes, hemp needs regulation and testing, and you can do that. You can have COAs on individual products on store shelves, and they can be enforced and regulated. But the dispo model is the way to guarantee that in the future they have you in a barrel and you'll be like fish in a bucket. Like, this is why this rescheduling thing can work. We got to break out of the dispo.
Yeah, I like the alcohol distribution model. I have no problem with that. And I'm not saying alcohol companies at all be the ones to do so. But, alcohol can be sold, alcohol.
There's not an alcohol problem in the United States or across the world.
There totally is. And so why not reduce it with cannabis? Exactly. And we know cannabis reduces that.
I mean, that's the argument against alcohol distribution. It's like look what it's already done.
No, I know.
There's
hold on, Shaun.
Industries based on getting off of alcohol.
Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead, finish your thought, Michael.
Cannabis, that's definitely the argument to make.
No, I hear you.
Go ahead, Shaun.
But alcohol being done and setting the precedent doesn't mean that alcohol is the gold standard. We have to do better. In our country, we need to look back, see what worked, pull it forward, maintain constitutionality above all, and then reiterate. We got to stop looking at this like we were 20 years ago. It's time to widen the lens on it.
That's tough to do when you change history.
Well, the majority market isn't even going to be the vice market in the future. It's going to be nutraceutical. That's why the pharmacies want their hands on it, or the big pharma wants their hands on it, because it's like the next Ozempic. It's going to be a moneymaker like that. And if you limit it only to Schedule 3 medical prescription, you capture and corner that entire market, just like Ozempic. Everybody gets their jabs, gets their prescription. They pay $150 for a doctor consultation, but it's the same shit over and over again. We don't fix the problems. We have to see the pattern.
Yep. It's tough to look back at history when history is being changed and
history is written by the victors, Todd, and you know that. And there's been tons of history that has been changed.
For the losers don't.
There has been so much history over the years that has been redoctored and reformulated because of basically who won. So that's just the story of life and the story of the world overall, Todd. So acting like all of a sudden it's like something new that's happening is just totally ridiculous.
Books are being burned, history's being erased.
Books teaching kids how to commit porn should be burned 100%.
On the federal government website, they're removing things from the Constitution that your boy doesn't.
They're not being
like
removed from the
corpus.
Constitution. Stop it. Stop the gaslighting, Todd. You're so.
It's not gaslighting.
You are.
Truth. You hate the truth.
No, I don't. I love the truth, bro. I love the truth. That's why.
I don't believe that. That's just crazy. That's the thing. It is fucking crazy. It is crazy, but it's all true.
It's not all true, Todd. That's so cute. I'm glad that you believe all that and you fall for the psyops quite often. But it's okay. It's all right. We love you, man. We love you. But back to this. Back to this whole story. I don't think that hemp products should be sold in dispensaries. I mean, you have a whole number of states that have banned hemp sales from being in dispensaries. Not to mention, you don't have dispensaries in all 50 states, and that just makes no sense. I think they should be considered a consumer packaged good in different retail outlets and whatnot. And if they want to be in behind a cage and you have to show an ID to get to it inside of the store, just like with alcohol, like even if you go into a grocery store to buy alcohol in most states, they'll say, okay, you're going to buy this, boom. They don't let you walk around the grocery store with a bottle of alcohol in your cart. They take it over to the counter, and then they hold that for you until you actually go through the whole checking out process. So I think there's plenty of ways for people to do this, and it'll probably end up being a jobs creator because you'll need more humans in the actual stores to complete these different tasks. And so this could be a good thing overall. And I don't think dispensaries are equipped to be selling cannabis and selling hemp. That's just not going to work. There's no reason for that. It's just stupid.
I mean, they're not equipped. They have counter space.
No, they don't
have a cash register.
They don't have counter space. Stop it, bro. These are not massive stores like CVS, bro. Todd, these are small mom and pop stores that barely can pay for the product that they currently have on their shelf, let alone add in more product in there that's going to cost them more overhead. It's not going to bring them any more business. That's just ridiculous.
The bottom line is we can't blanket the cannabis space across the country because it's different in every state.
Mm-hmm.
So the truth is that this whole hemp market over the past few years and THCA and Delta 8 and stuff has proven that this stuff can be sold at any store, 21 plus. You may have bad actors sometimes, just like, they send in kids to buy alcohol and stuff like that. That's about self-preservation, self-regulation, and being a responsible store owner. And it's proven. Bottom line, it is proven that this is a safe model to be. It hasn't caused increase in traffic fatalities or deaths or people going to hospitals. It's reduced alcohol. It's made people healthier. It's a miraculous plant that.
What about the kids, Michael? You got to protect the kids. That's
about the adults, man. Yeah, you used to have to protect me from buying alcohol. Stand outside the store in the early 90s and wait for an adult to walk by that looked cool and give them $5 to go in and buy alcohol. It wasn't hard.
I hear you. I did the same thing.
I just had a fake ID. You know what I mean? And there's plenty of places you can go for get fake IDs all over the country now.
That's what I'm saying. How do you protect the kids from the intoxicating hemp?
I'll tell you how you protect them. I'll tell you how you protect them, Todd. And that's by being a good parent and instilling good values in your children, and that's how you do it. And most hold on, Todd, let me finish. Hold on. The problem in this country is that most people don't want to be parents. They want to just have kids for the sake of having kids and not be responsible or take care of their kids. And that's the biggest problem that we face in the country, not this what about the children fucking bullshit argument when it comes to intoxicating substances.
Listen, we keep our.
The problem is, though, Jason, you're right. I'm agreeing with you. You're right. We do need good parenting.
Record that soundbite, you guys.
The problem is we don't have good parenting. We have broken homes. We have angry, people, and we don't have good homes. So we have to just accept that reality.
No, we don't, Todd. No, we don't. We need to fight for our families and improve the structure, bro, and teach parents how to be better parents.
Okay.
We need to put focus on that.
Okay, we can do that.
We
But
want the government to be our parent, though, guys. We don't. Look, I'm a mom.
I'm not saying that either. I'm not advocating for that, Sean. So I'm not advocating.
I'm a dad.
We don't want the government to act as a nanny state, though, guys. Like we can empower.
They already
parents
do.
And we can educate. Like we don't. I don't want this. This is insane. Like it's not. We don't. And also for the general public, just like majority are not extreme far right, and the majority are not extreme far left. There is a good handful that are good parents and good Americans and everyday hardworking people who are really trying their best. And how do we keep it out of the kids' hands? We educate. It's so fucking simple. Not this, well, we got to keep everything out of everybody's hands. In the meantime, kids, like the gun accidents, and I'm from Texas, I'm all about gun rights, but seriously, guys, come on. We can do better.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what.
Well, we can't do that with with the Department of Education that doesn't like talking about sex. Or
that's because the Department of Education's been ran by a bunch of wokies and has been totally indoctrinating kids and not educating kids. But nonetheless,
indoctrinating them for what?
National. You know exactly what I'm talking about and what I'm alluding to, Todd. Hold on. But National Disgrace said in the comments, I really like this. He said, "What did parents do when their kids started smoking cigarettes? They made them smoke a whole pack until the kid got sick. Remember that?" And we need more of that back in our country.
So, I think it is about education regulation. And just an example, I've been using for years. Florida went from has one of the lowest cigarette tobacco smoking states in the country. They did it by strong laws against companies from selling, education and cessation programs to get people to understand it's bad for you. And I think with kids, when we look across the country and we talk about the kids all the time, and I don't know one that is statistically changed over the years. I've kind of prepared documents, for the legislature and stuff. But those poison control calls, you may get 1,000, a couple thousand a year, but they are nothing compared to the bleach and the laundry detergent shit they drinking are under the counter still that is harming more children than cannabis and hemp ever would. Because parents aren't like leaving it. Smart parents aren't like, oh, I just bought these gummies for $50. I'm going to leave them on the counter so takes it. So let's talk about the reality of it. There's way more data out there kids are getting their hands on every day because of parental oversight.
You're so right about that, Michael. And to add to your point, Red Setter Farm in the chat, he says, be concerned with what kids are eating. Hypocrisy is not concerned about food, and I totally agree with him on that. Food is something that everybody eats, and the fact that we have way less stringent testing on our food supply as opposed to what we do on our cannabis supply is just totally ridiculous to me. And the parents that I've seen that have been coming out on social media lashing out at the administration because they just took sugary snacks and stuff not being able to be purchased with food stamps and whatever, I think is just totally ridiculous. These people need to be better parents, and they need to make sure that they're providing nutrient-rich things for their kids, not just sugar rushes all day, every day for their kids.
The problem is the cost of food. McDonald's Happy Meal is $3, and you can feed your family of 4 for $12, right?
Todd, that's the first legitimate argument I've heard come out of your mouth all day today.
It's really the cost of foods. I mean, if there are health food stores and health food sections in stores, what's the other shit?
I agree with that. I totally agree with you on that, Todd. I'm with you.
The fact that we feed our kids poison every single day and we have chemicals in every one of our products are banned in other countries around the world is a testament to lobbying the chemical industry and lobbying with the food industry. And also it creates patience. Right? Why is it the Food and Drug Administration? It should be the Food Administration and the Drug Administration. Food gets you sick. The drugs treat the symptoms. Don't cure diseases. They treat the symptoms. It creates commerce. It creates revenue. It turns the machine.
You are exactly right.
Food is not supposed to get you sick. It's supposed to nourish you. And drugs are supposed to be your last resort.
I agree.
First. I think also it's worth noting, shout out to Gen Z. They're choosing to drink less alcohol, and they're also choosing to smoke less too. So this argument is just bullshit.
I don't see Gen Z in the chat, Shaun.
Huh?
And on that, we're going to roll into our final commercial, and we're going to be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade, and in a GMP certified facility. So you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where do I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Tested. It's not a name, it's a promise.
So we're about to go back.
It'll test positive. For example, terpenes that had trace amounts of THC in it, but had no CBD in it, tested positive on their roadside test.
Interesting. We're gonna keep you guys posted on all the stuff we're talking about behind the scenes, as there is actual more developments. I'm very fascinated with all of this, Michael, and any help I can lend you on this, I'm more than happy to assist. But we got to get to our next story, you guys, because Missouri cannabis regulators target rule breakers and predatory contacts, apparently, you guys. And this was going to be Yarrow's story today, but apparently he's sick, and so Yarrow, we hope you feel better, buddy. The Missouri Division of Cannabis Regulation released the draft of cannabis rules that would give it more authority to keep non-compliant owners from obtaining other licenses. Missouri cannabis business owners who have had their license revoked for violating state rules could be prohibited from getting another license under proposed rules announced by state regulators last week. The Missouri Division of Cannabis Regulation released the draft of a massive overhaul of cannabis rules, giving regulators more authority to address a range of issues, including predatory practices in the state's social equity cannabis licenses, product recalls involving hemp-derived THC, and non-compliant owners obtaining other licenses. In a quote, they say, "We have found over the years that there's really not a lot of structure or authority in rule for us to address individuals in ownership or potential ownership who have been found to be either violating regulations themselves or responsible for those who are violating rules." Amy Moore, director of the division, told The Independent on Friday. "We have found that this is a gap," she says. Among the rule revisions, Moore said, is a requirement for businesses to have mechanisms in place to remove owners who are responsible for violating state regulations. Well, duh, you guys. That's a common sense fix right there. The changes cover so much ground, Moore said, because the division hasn't made any rule alterations since the adult use marijuana constitutional amendment passed in 2022. And a quote, "It's the things that we've learned over time," she said, "and found it needed improvement or needed to be fixed. Hopefully, we're not missing anything." Aside from revisions, a brand new rule released Thursday would establish an unlimited number of research licenses to study cannabis in Missouri, and the public can submit the feedback on the division's website until August 21st, and regulators will then review them and decide if they want to formally submit the rules to the Secretary of State's office. Moore said if her team decides to move forward, they would like to do it quickly, she says. "If I thought, okay, we've solved everyone's concern, we could have done it in a couple weeks," she said. "But we want to be sure that we are open to all the feedback and that we really consider it all," in regards with the Delta extraction case, because nearly a year after the state stripped Robertsville-based Delta Extraction of its license in November of 2023, regulators approved one of the company's co-owners, AJO LLC, to take over a cultivation and manufacturing facility in Waynesville in May of 2024. It's a far bigger operation than Delta Extraction, and it also involves several dispensaries as well. Lisa Cox, spokesperson for the division, told The Independent in May that the rules currently do not prohibit individuals who have had a license revoked from acquiring another license. And Moore said on Friday that the new rules would give the division a much better standing to deny an application for a license for an owner who's been non-compliant previously. She hopes it gives licenses fair warning when choosing future business partners, and in a quote says, "That's part of why these new rules are so important," she said. "This rule gives them a big heads up, and that's not going to work out for them, and they shouldn't make that investment and get themselves tied up with individuals who have had previous non-compliance," she says. It also establishes an annual review of ownership for every license, and in February, Delta lost its appeal to get its license back, with Missouri's Administrative Hearing Commission concluding it had a corporate culture of lax compliance with regulatory requirements. The scathing 137-page ruling issued by Commissioner Carol Ills informed the revisions released on Thursday, Moore said, and Ills agreed that the company's practice of bringing in hemp-derived THC concentrate from other states and adding it to Missouri's grown marijuana products was a violation of state law. In a quote, "What this is doing is clarifying what we believe has always been in our rules, and I think the Delta extraction order from AHC confirms that this is our rules mean," Moore said. "That's all. The THC and THCA and those types of compounds need to originate from cannabis grown in our licensed facilities." Microbusiness fronts, well, the Microbusinesses program, which was written into the Missouri 2022 constitutional amendment that legalized marijuana, was designed for the licenses to end up in the hands of disadvantaged business owners. The eligibility criteria indicates disabled veterans, those with lower incomes, and people with nonviolent marijuana offenses. Since the program began in 2023, the division has struggled to prevent what some legal experts have called fronts, or agreements where the profits and ownership weren't going to people that regulators had certified were eligible. And of the 96 micro business licenses issued so far, regulators have revoked 34. And for the last 2 years, the Independent has documented the pattern of well-connected groups and individuals flooding the micro businesses lottery by recruiting people to submit applications and then offering them contacts that limited their profit and control of the business. A majority of the revoked licenses followed this pattern, and these kind of agreements violate the constitutional requirement that the license be majority owned and operated by eligible individuals. And Moore explained at a division town hall meeting in February, and in a quote she says, "It is not sustainable to keep going through rounds of licenses, insurance, and then having to do rounds of revocations," she said in February. "We're never going to get this market fully built out." The division first released rule changes for microbusiness licenses in December, and the draft released Thursday includes some of the feedback the division received this winter, Moore said, but retained the core elements, she says. The designated contact for a microbusiness applicant must still be an eligible individual contributing to the majority ownership of the microbusiness license, and any entity who was the designated contact for a license that was previously revoked for failure to comply with the ownership and operation requirements may not be allowed to be involved in any capacity in a future microbusiness application. In order to prevent numerous revocations, the division is proposing to adjust when its extensive application review period occurs. And in quotes, "Those adjustments really clarify what we are actually accomplishing here, which is ensuring that these licenses are held by eligible individuals," Moore said. "And I think everyone really should agree that that's the goal. And I think the language that they have now is better focused on doing that," she says. Well, Missouri, you're turning into a big old shit show. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. And the fact that they're just now making a rule to say that people that were non-compliant cannot get other licenses is just asinine to me. How they didn't figure this out the first go around is just beyond me, but I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, Jason, Missouri has the best regulations.
They do.
Everybody.
Well, they have no. I said that. I never said. I said they have the best marketplace. They have the best market in all of the country. All right.
We're moving the goalposts.
I see how you switch my words around.
Are you done? This is a very dumb moment. It's okay. I won't put words in your mouth. This is the last time we did that on the show. God knows what happened. So anyhow, this is a very dumb moment, Missouri. Like, yeah, absolutely. If you violate the laws and the regulations and to the point where your license is revoked, you shouldn't have any more of them. Like, if you have 6 licenses and you fuck up 2 of them, all the other 4 should also be fucking taken from you, because clearly you are not capable of operating a license in a compliant fashion. And as the owner and the license holder of cannabis licenses, you are responsible for the actions of every person within your facility. So if you can't handle that, then you shouldn't be given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to fuck up repeatedly. Sorry, not sorry. And if you don't know how to become compliant, you can call me and I can teach you.
Maybe a tiered system, though, because I also wonder how many people get strikes for compliance issues that are really not, they shouldn't have been strikes. Like, it could have been easily remedied, but government went too far and wanted to just be a baddie.
I haven't really seen that happen. I haven't really seen that happen in Missouri. I've seen that happen here in California and other states and whatnot, but Missouri, I haven't seen that happen.
So we got to carefully weigh it, maybe a tiered approach to the problem. My chief concern is like this character, the board member, commissioner, executive Moore, is We'll never build out this market. And I'm just, as someone who works in a kind of a similar space and has worked in government, I don't want to hear that shit. What are you mad about? Doing your job? Like, so what?
Mhm.
You have to go out there and make sure people are complying. That's the point. That's what you're getting paid for, hon. Like, get your job done. Don't complain about it. Make better rules. I'm sure they're going to do some kind of midterm inspection. It's good to hear that the micro business thing, they should protect that. That doesn't mean that micro businesses are a fail. And I would hope that they wouldn't eliminate that category. Let's keep it going, but give them some support. Those folks probably had no idea that they were going to be written out of majority ownership of their company, or they did know. And if they knew and they knowingly did that and it disqualifies them for micro business, then they need to talk to the people that they're signing those contracts with and have those conversations with regulators as well when you're doing those kinds of transition transactions.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean micro business as a category needs to be eliminated. Hopefully they do something smart in this regard. I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for regulators who are getting paid to regulate, complaining about this is a tough job. Like, no shit, Sherlock. We need more people who have some passion in these beats.
Yeah, I don't know that I necessarily subscribe to that. I mean, people get into bad business deals all the time, and that's part of doing business. So if you don't have the business acumen to evaluate your contract properly and you sign it anyway, and you don't have an attorney or someone else doing it, it happens in social equity a lot, and it's frustrating. A large portion of what I do is getting people out of predatory contracts. But the best way to get out of a predatory contract is to not get into one in the first place. And don't get excited by this offer of amount of money that you've never seen before, because you're about to get screwed. If they're pressuring you to sign it quickly, you're about to get screwed. You need to have an attorney look over these documents if you don't understand what you're signing, period. So I don't necessarily feel bad for people who get themselves into these situations.
And honestly, it happens a lot, so many times, especially when you're working with friends or people that you know, and or things of that nature. People just, no matter how many times I tell them, please just get an agreement, just so everyone's on the same page. Make sure you understand it. So few people do, and even less understand what they're signing, unfortunately. So I think that this is easy, probably, for some of these companies to do when they're, going after, social equity people and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, and the regulator's job is to find those folks. And be like, naughty, you're not a micro business. You're a multi-state operator with deep pockets. You need a different license category. Don't play in this area. It's not your sandbox, hon. So I hear you, Jenny, and I agree. I think what they could do, then the government program could invest in teaching better business to more veterans and disenfranchised people who need that kind of service.
Todd, do you have any thoughts on this, Todd? You've been pretty quiet so far. Are you on mute? I don't hear you, Todd. You're on mute, buddy.
Sorry, I was.
There we go.
I had my my mixer all the way down.
Yeah.
I was saying that looks like Missouri is just a mess.
Yeah.
With my story, with this story, maybe they should just start over again.
Stop it, bro.
No.
Missouri's the best market in the country right now. It's the only place people are actually making money.
Oh, really? Well, that's not going to last. We all know that.
Well, I mean, it's been lasting so long. So shout out Missouri. Good job, you guys. We'll see how these. I just can't believe that these people didn't have that already in their license in their regulations already. It's just totally crazy to me. But we're gonna keep this train rolling and roll into our final story of the day, and we're gonna roll into Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's a mom, she's a veteran, and she's a mediator that'll help keep your ass out of court before your ass gets taken to court. That's right, it is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah, we're all about proactive prevention. Just stay the fuck out of court if you can. Speaking of, we've got a story from Foley and Hogan. It kind of puts a bow nicely on a couple of different conversations we've had, including some behind the scenes about THCA and how are we enforcing this. But Texas, and mind you, this article, it's got a nice headline, but take it with a grain of salt. It comes from Foley and Hogue. The Lone Star State takes Texas-sized leap forward on medical cannabis. It ain't Texas sized, y'all. So while the world is watching Texas's special legislative session for its high drama on redistricting and hemp and a total THC ban, on Friday, the Texas Department of Public Safety, DPS, released information on the required, if you applied for a medical license, this is you, listen up. The information required supplemental application narrative and forms. If you applied, there's supplemental material you need to submit. This must be completed to remain eligible to receive a dispensing organization license for all 139 applicants that applied for licenses in 2023 or prior. That includes some of our hemp operators. So you got 2 targets that are moving now. Keep your eyes on the ball. Supplemental application materials are due before September 15th, y'all. They're really trying to mess with you. It's a major movement, and applicants are going to want to carefully assess their prior filings for areas to update, as well as address new information requested by DPS in light of recent passage of House Bill 46, which expands the Texas Compassionate Use Program in the Lone Star State. Now, applicants who are looking to shore up their prior application want to, 1, pay particular attention to site control and real estate issues in the light of DPS's health service regions, okay? Because you have to have your first location operating in one health service region, and then you cannot open any more locations in that region. You have to expand and serve another region, and you must cover all regions before you can open multiples in one. They do not want you stacking. Like Austin, you're not going to have all of the dispensaries. So if that's your business plan, think again. 2, you're going to have to specifically discuss plans for ensuring statewide coverage and patient access. That's what I was just talking about, which is a major objective of HB 46. And 3, you need to emphasize your financial capability. Then Foley Hoax they plug themselves because they do that kind of work, can help you lock up your application. This was not sponsored content. This is actually news and information y'all need. And then we'll talk about how this is going to affect hemp. They just said they've won licenses. Hit them up. I don't know, but I'm not vouching for it either. They just wrote the article. But a little background on Friday, DPS also adopted regulations which will be published in the Texas Register for public comment, laying out supplemental application process. DPS will award at least 9 dispensing organization licenses. This is why I laughed when they said it's a Texas-sized leap forward, because this is baloney. This is an oligopoly, as Jason told me.
Yes.
And there's only a few who will win. And I hope out of those 139, we get some of our hemp operators and some of our good friends. I have some folks on the line, and I would love to see them get a license. They do a lot for veterans. I won't disclose. But DPS will award 9 dispensing organization licenses by December 1st through a competitively scored application process. They learned Friday that a committee of DPS employees will score your application based on criteria described in more detail below. Only the 139 previous applicants in 2023 and prior will be eligible to receive licenses. So you, the 139, it's you. These applicants may not edit and resubmit their application and narratives, but as described below, or as I'll share with you, must complete an updated supplemental narrative, which gives applicants the opportunities to update real estate information for the dispensing organization location and satellite dispensing locations, and provide further financial and other information, particularly in light of teacup expansion through HB 46. So go read HB 46, get your teams on it, make a move. Improve your application. Applicants wishing to withdraw, you have until August 15th to seek a refund. You can get a refund of your application fee. That's rare. Take it. If you want to withdraw. There are 3 components that the 139 previous applicants will need to complete to remain competitive in the application process. Here they are: your supplemental narrative and exhibits. It's a new narrative that includes the following information. 1, a plan detailing how the applicant would begin operations if licensed, including timelines, deliverables, milestones, and projected date for filling prescriptions. 2, the plan must also identify how the applicant would provide statewide coverage for patients. 3, you're going to need your current financial portfolio. You're going to have to be a grown-up if you want to be in this room. 4, you're going to need your current Dun & Bradstreet report and your current balance sheet. If you don't know what those are, you're not probably going to get approved, and you probably shouldn't be running a medical dispensary either. Health service region selection and responsibility, a statement of priority ranking for one of 10 health service regions. The health service region, so the operators who applied who are out of Dallas, y'all gonna wanna focus on that. Those of you in Austin, do what you can here. And everybody kind of focus on your space first. Regional, do regional first and then expand. Don't be a lunatic. The health service regions are new. If you are a winner, DPS will assign you a region in which you will be required to build the cultivation processing location or one satellite dispensing location. It is important to note that an applicant does not need to build its cultivation or processing facility in the health service region to which it is assigned. So if you're a hemp grower and you're trying to find a way to move over to legal pathways, you're worried about a ban, and I'll comment on that later, get your grow top notch and you might be able to work with someone. And hopefully a local who gets one of these licensed. Jason, also let me know if we're pressing for time because I'm trying to give you all the info.
No, great.
Region 7, which includes Austin, is not available, by the way. Someone already has it, guys. All 3 of the existing dispensary organizations. So I'm stuck with Texas Original.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, this sounds to me like they're trying to basically duplicate the Florida model, but just with like a little bit of Texas twist on there, because they're saying that you can open up in all of the different territories that are outlined, but you can only open up one store in each territory, and you can't have multiple stores until you're in all of the territories.
And that's fair because we are talking about rural access in a state as big as Texas. So what they were hearing at the hearings was that patients were having to drive like 8 hours to come to Austin. And if they miss their window, no pickup. And that's a fucking nightmare.
Here's the problem with this. Is, I could just see a lot of these places propping up locations and not actually being able to service the patients in a meaningful way, and them just focusing on expansion. And so let's just paint this kind of a scenario is like, okay, we're going to open up in here, and here, and we can run here, and here on the most marginal basis to where we only have to serve like a patient a week. You know what I'm saying? So then that way we can maintain our license and whatnot. And then that way we can focus on expanding into these other areas and whatnot. And I just think that it's going to be a disservice that unless there's some type of protocols in place for, what type of inventory they need to keep on hand for the customer size base based off the population and whatnot, I think is going to be, I think it could ultimately lead to a hindrance of the well intent of how this is framed.
Yeah, but I think it's meant to help. I think they want it to go slow. And that's the problem, is that if it goes too slow, then the trap market will take over, especially if they ban hemp. Hemp is the bridge, or the way that we're defining it legally. We know it's all cannabis. The way to help stand up your medical market is to allow that open and free hemp and cannabis market. Don't do the legal marijuana thing that California did like 20 years ago. It didn't work. The dispo model, it doesn't work. It's explosive. It's caustic. It's undercut by the legacy market. It always will be, because it's almost designed to fail, even though it's under the guise that it's meant to help you. It's not. The open market is probably the best way to go. Eventually it does plateau off. But what we need to start to look at with these medical markets is that if they reschedule, the medical market also will change. They'll have to go through FDA process. So these medical licensees really need to be ready to actually be a part of the healthcare system. So really, really think about this if you want in on this. But I will say, until they develop these rules, if you get a golden ticket and you have the money, you better run, Forrest. You better take off with this. And hopefully, I'm hoping that folks like Nick Mortellaro, he's got these vending machines that line up with DPS and even TSA, and they do cross-check it with your ID, do the visual scan, much like your iPhone has to do, and then cross-check it with your ID and DPS. So if you see a fake, it runs it through DPS. So if you have a fake, it ain't going to work. And maybe that could be a solution to having remote locations, what I would like to see is, so we have a hearing for HB5 tomorrow, a public health hearing, and they're going to think about this kind of stuff because this is not state affairs committee, this is public health. So they're going to think about, well, what about the teacup program and everything we did there? And we need to have conversations where we're helping to bridge the gap for hemp and medical in a way where we're protecting the good operators in hemp who want to sell healthy nutraceutical products. And then those who want to do vice market, we can make special rules for vice market. Okay, we can do that for alcohol and bars and all that stuff.
I don't see how those vending machines are gonna make sense. I mean, Texas has crazy weather, extreme weather, both cold and hot, and so how they're gonna manage this, and then at the same time, if these things are outside, you're gonna have the what about the kids argument, because it's gonna be very easy for me as a kid to get a fake ID and go to one of these things and be able to procure this thing, especially if there's no one monitoring all this. That's not gonna be that difficult.
ID, it runs it through GPS, so it'll scan your barcode.
I could get that. I could go and I could steal my older brother's ID and go back and buy that and then come back. Like that's not a solution.
There's facial recognition too. At least the vending machines I've seen. I had a client.
Yeah, it has facial recognition. But you would still want it in a building. So it could be a way to have it in a building and create access in all of these areas and at least get the people served. Because under these rules, if they shut down hemp, we only will have these dispensary operators to turn to.
No, they won't.
And frankly,
no, they won't.
It's going to take
4
months.
They won't have that. People are going to have to go online and do direct to consumer, and these hemp companies are just going to ship direct to your door, just like we had previously discussed, Shaun. It's not going to be that. The people are still going to get the products that they want, and it's going to be a direct to consumer model because they can't stop shipping it to your door.
That is also true, but it'll be outside of Texas because the Texas operators will have to get licenses or work in other states.
Just go to Oklahoma. They do it all the time already.
And what happens when you get that package and then you get arrested in Texas? Because that's what's happening. That's not
going to happen, Michael.
It's happening in Florida.
I think those packages that they're getting in Florida, Michael, are a lot bigger boxes with like pounds of weed and things like that. Not just near your average. You know what I mean?
I have a 72-year-old man that was arrested in Sumter County he got 50 grams of basically shake, and what he does with it, he takes it, puts it in his smoothies. He doesn't even really smoke it.
Okay, Michael. Where did he get arrested at? Where did he get arrested at? He get arrested in his vehicle?
They delivered the package. No, they did like a controlled buy and delivered the package.
Interesting.
They set it up, but you see, so there are going to be consumers who are being set up, and you have to be careful about that.
Yep.
And they're also making it. Let's not be naive. They're going to start to look just like the porn rule, where you have to link up your ID and driver's license to have access to that. And not whatever. I know that whatever there's workarounds, or you guys, people in the comments can be like, "There's a workaround." That's cool, but for the majority, they're going to go through the normal protocol, which is linked to their ID. Don't think for a second that they won't figure out how to apply that to your cannabis sales. So you can run this train as far, and you can do it as long as you can, as long as it's legal. But if they reschedule, all of that shuts down, because shipping it, now you're shipping prescription drugs. Now you're in a whole nother category, and those penalties for reschedule are twice as severe. It doesn't look good. It's like, so...
Todd,
we gotta fix this.
Todd, do you have any thoughts on this, Todd?
Look, I think that Texas is a mess, honestly. And is there really a trap market for hemp products?
Yeah.
I mean, are people selling?
In California, they're all banned. So yeah, it's 100% trap market for hemp derived products in California.
Really, who's buying black market, hemp products?
I wouldn't call it black market. I'd call it direct to consumer. And there's tons of people that are buying it here in California. Tons.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not hemp like what you're thinking of. It's all cannabis but it's this legal definition. So the way California defines it, it's marijuana. But we know by the federal definition, it's all cannabis. So
it's all cannabis. We all, yes, we're aware of that part, Shaun.
I'm
saying, who's buying THCA gummies on the black market?
There's tons of people that don't want to pay over exorbitant tax fees to the state of California and to their local municipalities. There's tons of people that would rather buy that stuff than walk into a dispensary and purchase flour. Tons.
Texas is an $8 billion market. $8 billion.
Another reason hemp should be regulated like cannabis.
Why? So it can be overtaxed and overregulated?
Keep it all.
And then you create
product.
then you'll create a real black market for these hemp products, Todd.
Regulated like hemp.
Yeah, cannabis needs to be regulated like hemp. Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't mind that idea.
Yeah.
Do that reschedule medical thing. It should be for specific formulas that are pharmaceutical in nature. This would be the easy, smart, nonsensical, sensible, logical way to do it. But we got to complicate shit, and then we want to overregulate stuff. That's like the issue with on the far Democrat side is like there's way too many regulations. Guys, pull back. We don't need all this supervision.
Mm-hmm.
You can test it. And then the people can decide because they can buy their products that are tested and regulated. And then if it's a shit product, they stop buying it. I had a guy at a shop who showed me bags that he threw away because they were literally trash, and he threw them away. He doesn't distribute that. Like, the market will self-correct.
Go for it, Michael.
I was going to say it goes back to the testing issue, right? With these hemp products getting sent through the mail and their testing being inadequate. That's where that fundamental problem as well comes from. So whether or not they are THCA products or actually legit hemp products, people can be caught up in that issue. The cop smells it because they do this random walk around the stupid UPS once a month or whatever, or someone smells it.
Yeah, but Michael, you know that just comes from people knowing how to ship their product at the same time too, and keep it safe for the customer. I mean, it's just like back in the day when people, you know, in the 80s, people would send Playboy magazines, right? You'd have to send it in a bag that had it all completely covered up with just a sticker on the top, so then that way no one knew what was actually inside of it if they saw it. Michael, they just got to implement the same protocols in regards with that. And in regards with your client that you mentioned, I think that you should file an entrapment countersuit against this, because I think that's 100% entrapment, because it sounds like it was a website that was created by law enforcement for them to sell that product in the first place to them. I don't believe for a second that all of a sudden they just spotted this package and then decided to deliver it. I'm not buying that argument. This is a total cop setup. This is that reminds me of like the 80s Cops episodes when they would go and they would catch the Johns that were sleeping with the prostitutes. All right, that to me is the exact same thing.
Where they busted someone and they're going through the client list.
Definitely packaging.
No. And the other thing, guys, because we were talking about this is where we have a conflict in law. We have DEA, which is the enforcement element of this, that says that total THC includes THCA times 0.877. And that's one rule set that's being used by the arguments for prohibitionists and all of the folks who want to overregulate this shit. But then we have the Farm Bill that says it's 0.3% dry weight. We have conflicts. There are people who are believing that they're buying Farm Bill material that is actually, we have two things that are legal that are in conflict.
It's all Farm Bill. It's all the Farm Bill. It's all THCA at the end of the day, Shaun. It's all THCA.
So you light it on fire.
Oh no, until you get a good lawyer.
That's the consumer's right to choose, but then we can't allow arbitrary enforcement of the law. We're setting a pattern that we shouldn't.
Well, that's why
now that client, like his client, it's arbitrary when they decide to arrest this guy, but not this guy. What are our baselines for?
Well, thank goodness this guy was smart enough to get Michael, and I'm sure Michael's going to get him off on this case. And Michael, keep us updated on the progress of this case too, as we can follow along, and anything we can do to help out, we're definitely into that. But nonetheless, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on over here, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.